Welcome to the River Rats Labs YouTube channel. On this channel, we're going to be doing learning, teaching, just kind of that kind of style of stuff, tackle junkie stuff. So yeah, if you want to check out our other YouTube channels called The River Rats, that channel is going to be mostly just straight up for fun fishing, our tournaments, our series videos, just kind of that kind of style. But if you like tackle and you like learning about fishing, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel because that's what this channel is going to be mostly about. So this video is going to be about swim jig fishing in the spring. We're going to be going over the rod and reel setups I like to use, the swim jigs I like to use, the trailers I like to use, and where to fish. So stay tuned because it should be a good one. So the first thing we're going to be going over is the rod and reel setups I like to use. Let's just get right into the first rod. The first rod that I like to use is a Daiwa Tatula Elite 7.3 multi-purpose fast. I really like the parabolic bend in this rod. It's not too parabolic like a glass rod, but it's got a good parabolic bend so it pins the fish, and when you set the hook it doesn't make a big hole where the hook is inside the mouth. So we've realized when we use a little bit heavier rods and a little bit stiffer rods is when you set the hook, it make a little bit of a gap inside of the mouth so the fish comes off when it head shakes. So with this rod, it's just a perfect bend, perfect power. It's just a perfect rod for swim jigs. Keeps them pinned. Just a great rod. So onto the reel. The reel I like to use is a Daiwa Tatula SV TW103. It's a nice and smooth reel. Super strong. I've been using this reel for a whole year now. I've had no problems with it. It's been super good. Now the line I like to use is 18-pound Seagar because I still like it a little bit thinner so I don't go 20 or 5-pound. But I also like that you don't have to worry about it getting caught up in sticks as much, or is it snapping off and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty strong. Also, if you're one of those guys who's like, I don't know if I want to go out and spend money on one technique, with this rod, I also use this for my flipping, my dark sleepers. I have used this for a lot of different techniques. So if you say like, hey, I don't know if I can go out and spend $400 whatever dollars on just for one technique, this rod is super good for a lot of techniques. So it's a great all-around rod. Now the next setup that I have is a St. Croix Legend Tournament 7.1 medium heavy fast. It's a little bit less parabolic than the Daiwa Tatula, but this one I have braid on a Corrado K200. I have braid on this one, 30-pound Suffix. So this one's mostly for when I do end up casting more into the reeds. So you really got to yank them out, and braid cuts through grass a lot better than fluorocarbon does. So that's why I got a little bit less of a parabolic rod, a little bit more stiffer of a rod. And I also got braid on there because you got to yank them out of the thick grass, thick reeds, all that kind of stuff. So that's the rod and reel setups I like to use. Now let's go on to the swim jigs and the baits I like to use. Now the colors I like to use for the swim jig, I like to use 5 main colors. When the water is super clear and it's cloudy out, I like to use the Dirty Money swim jig. Just got a good green pumpkin color mixed with a little bit of blue in there I really like. The next one I like to use when the water is, or when it's clear water, but there's some sun. I really like to use the Dirty Money swim jig. I really think that it just gives that sparkle off with the sun. It really shines off that tinsel super nice. Now you can catch obviously bass when it's sunny out with this and when it's cloudy out with this one, but that's just what I've seen to have the best luck with. Now when the water is more of that tannic-y color like you get in a lot of Wisconsin lakes or like up at Vermilion, I like to use the perch color. Use this, and I will use this swim jig for special occasions in just straight up clear water, like if they're eating a lot of perch in their area. But for most of the time, if it's tannicky water, this is the first swim jig that I pick up. Now when you get into really dirty water, of course, you got to have your black and blue. Black and blue is tried and true. It is a great swim jig for just, yeah, your mud holes, your just dirty water. Shows up super nice. Black and blue and everything is good in dirty water. I mean, it's just a tried and true color. This is no surprise to anyone that black and blue is on this list, or is on my favorite swim jigs that I like to use. So there's not much to say about it. I like to fish the black and blue swim jig super shallow and like shallow dirt weed, so I mostly go with a 1/4 ounce rather than the rest of them. I kind of like that 3/8 ounce because even with the 3/8 ounce, most of the time you can get by with just sticking your rod tip up in the air to raise the jig up. But when I'm fishing black and blue, most of the time I'm fishing super shallow, so I do like to go to a 1/4. Now the next color I like to use in dirty water is a white. Though I think a white shows up super nice in that dirty water. It just contrasts the water super well. I'll also use this if I go down to like the lower Mississippi part of Minnesota where they're eating shad. I also do have good luck with this once in a while in clear water when they're eating crappies. I do think this imitates a crappie super well. Now we're going to be getting on to the trailers I like to use. The trailers I like to use a bunch of different trailers. But for the colors, for the Kitech colors, paired up with the perch, I like to use either a Sungill or a perch Kitech, either in a 3.8 all the way up to, I would say 4.3 is kind of where I stop for most of the time. You could go up to that 5 kind of area, but for most of the time I like to get that 4.3. Like 3.8 is good, but once that the tip of the bait's messed up and you can't keep hooking it and it keeps on slipping down, the bait's done. But with the 4.3, you can bite it down and you still got that extra 0.5 inches to kind of keep rehooking it. So that's kind of why I like to use the 4.3 if I can, but 3.8 also works really well. Now, when I'm fishing the Dirty Money, or Magic Craw, I like to use a Green Pumpkin Rage Swimmer. Rage Swimmers are way stronger than Kitechs. You can get about 5 bass off of one, rather than the Kitech you might be able to only get 1, maybe 2 out of. It's a way stronger bait. They're still pretty pricey for what you're getting. Like, I think both of these are $7 to $8, but you do get way more life out of a Rage Swimmer. Like, again, what I was saying, you can get 5 fish out of a Rage Swimmer, out of one Rage Swimmer, rather than 1 or 2 out of a Kitech. But the Kitechs do come in way more variety colors and way better colors. So when you're getting kind of that weird bait, like that weird color like the perch, that's why I like to go with the Kitech, because they can match that perch color better than Rage Swimmers colors can. But when you got that green pumpkin kind of color, I mean, there's a lot of companies that make green pumpkins, so you can kind of pick and choose what you would like. And still has great action, just like the Kitech does. When I'm fishing the black and blue, I'm usually fishing it pretty shallow and kind of that mucky stuff. So I like to use a craw so I can keep it up in the water column better. This color is Bruised Flash in the Chunky D from Missile. That one really keeps it nice and afloat, and you do get a good action in the tails. So, yeah. And then, of course, in any of these baits, you can basically use your favorite craw if it's a kicking craw. Yeah, to the white. So, when I'm throwing the white swim jig. I like to use the white Largo shad. Sorry about the one in the middle. It's from a pack. I almost had empty, so I just put it in here. But the white Largo shad. Largo shads are super strong, so I really like using them. You can use one Largo shad pretty much all day for the most part, and you'll be good. Super strong bait. Yeah, there's not much else to say. It's a great bait. Has a really good action. A little bit more limited colors than your Kitech, but when it's straight white, a lot of companies have straight white, so you can pick and choose a little bit more. So that's why I like to use the Largo shad on there. Plus, it does have a little bit of a bigger, chunkier profile, kind of like a shad would have that tallness. Oh, dropped it. Yeah, so that's kind of why I picked the white Largo shad. Now let's talk about where I like to fish when fishing the swim jig. Pretty much the areas where I focus on is the parts that warm up the fastest. So muddy bottom, a little bit darker water. Most of the time this will be on the north side of your lake, but there's exceptions where it does happen in different little parts of the lake. But most of the time you'll find this up in the northern part of your lake because that's where the sun hits most of the day. Another thing is when you're looking for these spots, you do want a mucky bottom, but you do want it to be close to an area where they're going to spawn, so sand, gravel, that kind of stuff, where you will be able to see, where they're setting up to go spawn. So that's pretty much where I like to fish this stuff. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, make sure if you guys did like the video to give it a like, and if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. See you in the next video of River Rats Labs. Peace.